Hey, how's it going everyone? Molweni sanibonani dumelang. Welkom julle. Welcome to the second beginner class in the Power Tribe Yoga Lockdown Vinyasa Flow series. We're going to begin today standing in mountain pose, engaging our toes to begin, starting with the feet, raising the toes off of the ground, seeing if you can engage your attention into the spaces between your toes now. Inhaling them apart and exhaling, putting your toes back on the ground, trying to grip the mat underneath you. Raising your toes again, matching the intention in your mind with the movement of your body. Starting very consciously here. It's a very strange motion if you haven't done it before. And now, engaging the legs, pulling the heels up, activating in the quads, slightly tucking the tailbone, and just shift your weight slightly left to right, forward and back, seeing how your body responds in this position to the shift in movement. Don't worry, you won't fall over. Standing nice and strong in mountain pose here. Drawing your lower belly in as you tighten your glutes and tuck your tailbone in underneath you. Now let's take our hands to our shoulders and work to open up our shoulders at the beginning of the practice. Making circles with your arms, your elbows, rotating backwards to begin, matching your movement with your breath, and then shifting direction. Inhaling and exhaling consciously out of your nose. Feeling into the upper part of your back, your shoulders. Standing tall in mountain pose. Now we're going to work to inhale our shoulders up into our neck, and as we exhale, taking our shoulders back and down, inhaling them up towards our ears, and rolling them back and down, almost like wings we'd like to spread behind us. Just getting the feeling of our shoulders, drawing them into the ears and lowering them back down. And now getting into a little bit of work for the neck, dropping your chin down towards your chest, and as you inhale, rotating your head over to the left side so that your left ear is over your left shoulder. Feeling a nice stretch in the right side of the neck. Slowly rotating through the central position over to the other side. Your right ear over your right shoulder. And inhaling, coming back over to the other side. Nice and calm, nice and relaxed to start the practice. Exhale, coming over to the right once again. When we begin any practice, it's a great idea to slow ourselves down very consciously before we start. Standing nice and tall in mountain pose, inhale both arms up to the sky. Hands together in a prayer position, and exhale your hands down through heart center. Let's repeat that movement 2 more times. Inhaling the arms up, looking up towards the fingers, and exhaling, hands through heart center. As you ground down through the feet, inhale your arms up, drawing length up toward the sky, and exhale, hands through heart center. Now inhale the arms back up. Let's get some side stretches for the body. As you exhale, you're going to lower your right arm, your right hand to meet your right thigh, and you're going to extend your left arm nice and straight over your left ear. Looking up through the eye of the elbow if that's comfortable for your neck. As you breathe in, you lengthen through that arm, lengthen through your fingers, and as you exhale, you stretch and extend, feeling the stretch in the left side body. Inhale the right arm up to meet the left, And as we exhale, let's come over to the other side. Left arm down beside the left leg. Your weight transferring now into the left foot as you shoot your hips out towards the right, creating that bend in your upper body. Inhale back to center. Let's repeat this motion one more time. As you exhale, right arm coming down, left arm up over the ear, bending over towards the right. See if you can feel the space between your ribs open up in your left side body. Inhale, extend. Exhale, sink slightly deeper into the pose. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale, bending over to the left. And nice and strong in your feet. Inhale back up to center. As you exhale here, you're going to do a little twist, trying as best as you can to keep your hips squared to the front of the room. Move your right arm back and your left arm forward, drawing a straight line from your fingertips to your other fingertips. Inhaling back to center. Exhale, twisting to the left side, left arm going back, your gaze classically looking over your left fingertips. Inhale, arms up back to center. Exhale, hips squared to the front of the room. Right arm out behind you, left arm straight out in front. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, arms back up to the center. And taking your palms together, exhale your hands through heart center. Re-energizing your feet, your legs in mountain pose, standing nice and tall. Now as you exhale, slightly bend your knees, roll your shoulders forward, and bending in your spine, slowly roll all the way down. Your fingertips touching the ground in front of your feet. Inhale, hands to your shins, straight back, halfway up. And now as you exhale, take your elbows in your opposite hands, forming a ragdoll position, feeling a stretch into your hamstrings with straight legs, slight release for your lower back, your head, your arms hanging heavy. Release your fingertips to the ground, bend your knees, and on your inhale, rounding your back, come up very slowly, looking towards your belly button, stacking one vertebra on top of the other. Your shoulders and finally your head, the last to stack, returning to mountain pose. Let's repeat that again. Inhaling here, and on your exhale, rounding your shoulders forward, rolling down one vertebra at a time, nice and slow, very controlled. Slow means slow, not fast. Fingertips touching the ground in front of your feet. Inhale straight back, looking forward, halfway up. And exhale once again into your ragdoll position, taking your elbows in the opposite hands. Breathing very consciously, feeling into your body. How do your hamstrings feel today? How does your lower back feel today? How do your shoulders feel? Try, if you can, almost to take a mental snapshot of how these parts of your body feel. Bending at the knees. On your next inhale, slowly rolling up. Making sure to keep your tailbone tucked underneath you. Inhale, both arms up to the sky. And as you exhale, forward fold, folding at the hips. Bending your knees if necessary, otherwise keeping your legs straight. Inhale, hands on your shins halfway up. Exhale, bend your knees, place both hands on the ground. Inhale your right foot back, preparing for plank pose, pressing into your hands. Inhaling your left foot back to meet your right. Your core nice and strong here, pressing your shoulder blades away from you, and inhale your knees to the ground. Coming into knees, chest, chin now, so taking your hips slightly back as you bend your elbows, lowering your chest between your hands, your chin to the ground. Maintaining that nice curve in your lower spine, and inhale, press through the feet onto your stomach. Take a moment here to gather yourself. As you inhale here to a low cobra, it's almost like you're trying to get your shoulder blades to touch, squeezing them on your back. Keeping your elbows nice and close to your side body. They're not flaring out. And exhale through a tabletop position, coming to sit on the soles of your feet in child's pose. Taking a few nice deep breaths here, filling your back body up with energy, filling it up with breath, noticing how it expands. On your next inhale, coming forward into tabletop position. Let's secure our foundations here, so your knees are under your hips, your wrists are under your shoulders, making sure your fingers are spread, your index fingers are parallel, in line with the long edges of your mat. Slightly rounding your upper back, pressing your shoulder blades away. Let's do some cat-cows now, so inhaling, arching your lower back, looking up. And as you exhale, tuck your tailbone, rounding your spine as you press into your hands. Inhale, looking up. And exhale, tucking your tailbone, drawing your navel toward your spine. One last time, arcing your lower back. Inhale, looking up. And exhale, rounding your back. Pressing into your hands. Inhale back to a neutral tabletop position here. Take your hands slightly forward on the mat. Your hips slightly back. Preparing for Ashtanga Namaskara, knees, chest, chin. Bending at the elbows. Lower your chest between your hands. Your chin to the ground. And inhale, press forward onto your stomach. Gathering yourself here for a breath. Now activating the legs, the feet, the glutes, pressing them down into your mat as you take your arms back alongside your body, your palms up toward the ceiling or the sky. And you inhale, lift your chest slightly up. Once again, activating nice and strong in the back body here. Almost like you're getting your shoulder blades to touch behind you. Very strong in the quads, strong in the glutes. And lower back down. Take your hands alongside your chest. Inhale through cobra and exhale back into child's pose. See if you can feel as you breathe in child's pose, the space underneath your armpits rising as you inhale and falling with the exhale, broadening through the shoulders in this pose, making yourself bigger. Inhale now, coming forward into tabletop position. preparing for a version of side plank here. So take your left hand slightly forward and straighten your right leg behind you so that your right heel is in line with your left heel, is in line with your left knee and your left hand. Your left toes pointing towards the right, and you inhale your right arm up and straight in the sky, looking up towards your right fingertips if that's comfortable for your neck. So you're drawing a straight line from your right heel to your right shoulder. Equally, there's a straight line from your left fingertips to your right fingertips. If you'd like to make this a little bit more challenging, see if you can lift your right leg into the sky, activating your quads and your glutes, strong in your leg to make a nice straight line. Much more challenging, this variation. At any point during this practice or any of the other practices we do together, always feel free to stay in the earlier versions of the pose. No need to progress if you're not ready. Exhale your right hand down to meet your left foot back to meet your right in plank pose. Nice and strong here. Feel free to keep your knees on the ground if that's easier for you. Let's come into side plank on the other side. So lowering your right knee to the ground, extending your left leg so that your left toes are pointed toward the left side of your mat. Inhale your left arm up to the sky. Once again, focusing on the alignment, focusing on the lines, as straight a line as you can from your left heel to your left shoulder, and a nice straight line created by your arms. If you're ready to come into the progression of this pose, inhale your left leg up and straight, sending the energy out through your left heel as you flex your left toes towards your face, towards the front of your mat. Strong in the glutes here, strong in your hamstrings, strong in your quads. Very engaging pose. And exhale, lower your left foot down, lower your left hand to meet your right at the front of your mat. And inhale, coming into plank pose. Lowering your knees to the ground. And coming into knees, chest, chin, bending the elbows, chest between the hands, chin on the ground. Inhale, pressing yourself forward onto your stomach. Taking a moment here to set up for another locust variation. Inhaling both arms back alongside our body. Engaging the legs now, pressing into the feet. Trying to slightly tuck the tailbone underneath you as you inhale, your arms off the ground, your head up, your chest slightly off the mat. And now, if it's comfortable for your body, using the strength in your legs to raise your right foot off the ground. Exhaling it back down. Inhale your left foot off the ground. Exhale back down. There should be no pain in your lower back here. You can turn your head to one side. Take a few breaths here, feeling the effect of that motion in your body. Very strong poses, very good work for the back line of the body. Taking your head to the center again. Let's inhale your chest up, your arms off the ground. Inhaling your right leg. Inhaling your left leg to meet it. So your hands, your arms, your feet all off the ground now. And exhale, lower back down. Turn your head to the other side. And rest here. Inhaling back to center, take both hands, press them to the ground next to your chest. We're going to inhale now up into upward facing dog. So moving from cobra into upward facing dog means straightening our arms, taking our shoulders like those wings back and down, creating a very strong foundation here, not just in our arms but in our legs. The strength in our legs and in our glutes is how we protect our lower back. Classically, lifting your quads, your knees off of the ground here and looking up, opening up your chest. Lowering your knees down, exhaling through tabletop position, tuck your toes and send your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Our first downward dog for the day, pedaling the feet, getting some nice stretches into those hamstrings and the IT bands. One breath, one movement. Bending one knee and straightening the other leg. Then switching sides. Nice and gentle in our bodies here. These are strong practices, but we can always still be soft. Inhaling now, coming up onto your toes. Exhaling, lowering your heels back down to the ground. Repeating that motion. Inhaling, coming up onto your toes. Exhaling your heels back down to the ground. Now inhaling your knees down to the ground into tabletop position. Tucking your toes. Inhaling, arching your back, looking up. And from this position, exhale back into downward facing dog. So sending your weight to your legs, making your arms nice and light, your head hang heavy. Come up onto your toes, bend your knees here, and look through the space between your legs. As you slowly sink your heels back down to the ground, creating a nice straight line with your back and your arms. Inhaling your knees to the ground, untucking your toes, and come to sit back in child's pose. Feel free, as I like to do, to take your arms alongside your body. Get a bit of a deeper stretch for the upper part of your back and your shoulders. I find here you can feel your forehead resting a little bit more heavily on the ground. Inhale, come into tabletop position. Tuck your toes. And we're going to come into chaturanga prep here. So slightly rounding your upper back, pressing your shoulder blades away from you. Now keeping your legs as they are, bend slightly at the elbows, come about halfway down and press yourself back up. Kind of like a half push-up. Repeating this motion, inhaling about halfway down and exhaling, pushing yourself all the way back up and then coming once again into child's pose. Let's use child pose to get a bit of a deeper stretch into our shoulders. So taking the palms of your hands together, your elbows slightly in alongside your head, and move your hands in prayer behind your head, back and behind your head. You should feel this working into your shoulders a little bit deeper. With each inhale and exhale cycle, you can feel yourself getting a little bit deeper into the shoulders as you let gravity draw you down. Coming back into tabletop position, let's do one more round of chaturanga prep. The main focus here is to keep the upper part of your body nice and solid. You don't want to be arching in your lower back. So the way we achieve that is we suck in our lower bellies and keep our glutes tight as we tuck our tailbone. And then inhale, bending at the elbows, lowering about halfway down. Not minding my neighbor. Exhaling, pushing yourself all the way back up. Let's do that 2 more times at your own pace. If it's good for you, lifting your feet off the ground, crossing one ankle over the other, adding just a little bit more weight to this pose. And when you're ready, exhaling back into child's pose. Once again, taking your palms together, your elbows alongside your head. And take that prayer position back over the top of your head. With each exhale, feeling as if you can sink down into your armpits just a little bit more, broadening your shoulders along your back. Taking your hands in front of you, inhaling back into tabletop position, tucking your toes and exhaling your hips back and up into downward facing dog. Making sure your feet are about hip distance apart and parallel, and slowly walking your feet up to the top of your mat between your hands. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands on your shins, back straight halfway up. And exhale, bending at the knees, rolling up the spine, nice and slowly. Coming up into mountain pose, Tadasana, at the top of your mat. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold, bending at the hips. Weight into the toes here. Inhale, halfway up. And now bending at the knees, hands down. Exhale, your right foot back, your left foot back. Now come through Chaturanga Dandasana here, or if it's more comfortable for you, feel free to come through knees, chest, chin. And inhale, either cobra pose or upward facing dog. Shoulders back and down, nice and broad, opening up into the chest, looking forward or up. And exhale, coming through tabletop position, tucking the toes into downward facing dog. Nice and strong in this position, making sure your shoulders are out of your ears by rotating your triceps towards each other. Inhale, slowly walking your feet up between your hands at the front of your mat. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway up, flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees, nice and slowly rounding up the spine, keeping your tailbone tucked. One vertebra stacks on top of the other. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Weight into the toes here, out of the heels. Inhale, hands on your shins, halfway up. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the ground. Step your left foot back this time, followed by your right foot. Again, feeling free to come through knees, chest, chin, or if you're feeling strong today, strong in your legs, pressing your shoulder blades away from you, creating that slight press in your upper back. Lowering down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Feel free to move at your own pace, move very consciously, feeling what's right, what's good for your body. Deep breaths in downward facing dog. Strong in your hands, putting pressure into the balls of your thumb and your first finger. Inhale now, your feet up to the front of your mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, down. Bending at the knees, and once more, rounding up your spine. Arms hang heavy, head hangs heavy. And re-energizing mountain pose at the front of your mat. Let's do some work to open up your hips now. So all the weight into your left foot. Inhale your right leg up, bending at the knee, and start to make some rotations into your hip. Inhaling and exhaling, matching the movement to your breath as best you can, keeping your hips squared to the front of the room here. Your hands on your hips, your upper body nice and straight. Change directions when you're ready. Mobilizing the hip. And place your right foot down. Let's come into the other side. All the weight into your right foot now as you inhale. Your left leg up. Hands on your hips. Very consciously start rotating into that left hip. Exploring your range of motion. And switching directions, the other side. All this work to prepare us for tree pose. So your hands on your hips. You can look down at your feet to help establish your balance. 98% of your weight on your left foot. Come up onto your toes of your right foot. Now we're going to move through the progressions of this pose. Feel free to stop at any point along the way. Your right foot can be placed on your left foot, on the inside of your left calf, not on your knee, never on your knee. Or, if you're slightly more flexible, feel free to bring your right foot into your inner left thigh. Keeping your hands on your hips or taking them into a prayer position in front of your heart, we maintain this balance in part by pressing our foot into the thigh and the thigh into the foot. Our hips are squared to the front of the room. Your tailbone is tucked. You're sucking your lower belly in towards your spine. And if you're comfortable with that balance, you can complete this pose by raising your arms up into a V shape, your biceps alongside your ears. As we ground down with our feet in this pose, making a connection with the earth, we raise up with the arms, bringing a sense of lightness, a sense of levity. And exhaling our hands through heart center with no fuss, lowering our right foot down to meet the left foot. Preparing for the other side now. Taking 98% of your weight into your right foot, coming up onto the toes of your left foot. Hands on your hips. Inhale your left foot on top of your right foot. Your left foot to your right calf. Or your left foot to the inside of your right thigh. Now a lot of the work we do in balancing postures comes from the gaze or our drishti. So see if you can focus during this balancing posture on your right leg on a point in front of you. It can be a point on the ground, a point straight out ahead of you. Try and keep your attention on that point and don't waver. Focused and strong. If you're feeling confident in your balance today, inhaling, raising your arms into a V shape up above your head, extending through the arms, extending through the fingers. You can pull your shoulders up towards your ears, but then work to rotate your shoulders out of your ears by turning your pinky fingers towards one another. So you inhale, shoulders up, and then exhale, rotate your pinky fingers towards each other. And exhale now, hands coming through heart center. As quietly as you can, lowering your left foot to meet your right. If you failed at any point during the balancing pose, that's good. Your body's learning. Just come back and join us where we are. Mountain pose at the front of your mat. Big toes touching, heels slightly apart. Fingers energized alongside the body. Just take a moment to assess how your body feels after that pose. Preparing now for chair pose. Bend your knees and send your hips slightly back. Take your hands and rest them on your thighs just above your knees. Let's bring some more mobility into the spine. On the inhale, creating a slight arch in your lower back, opening up your chest and looking up, and on your exhale, reversing that motion, so tucking the tailbone, sucking the belly button towards the spine and rounding the upper back. A few more times like that. Straightening the arms, inhaling, looking up, broadening the chest. Exhale, looking towards the belly button as you round the spine. Inhale, looking up. Exhale, round the spine. And standing straight up into mountain pose. Coming into chair pose now, a very strong pose, a very challenging pose. Bend your knees, send your hips back. You can look down at your knees and your toes. You want to make sure that your knees are not coming out over your toes. You should be able to see your toes. So you shift your weight back into your heels to do that. Inhale, lift your arms up and out in front of you, kind of on the same line as your ears. Once again, rotate your pinky fingers towards each other. And from that position, exhale, hands through heart center, folding forward, straight legs. Inhale, hands on your shins, halfway up. And exhale, hands to the ground. Take your right foot back, your left foot back into plank pose. Feel free to put your knees down to come through knees, chest, chin. Or exhale through Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale through tabletop position, tucking your toes into downward facing dog. Inhale now your right leg up into the sky, driving through your heel. And exhale your knee to your nose and your right foot just on the inside of your right hand. Lowering your back knee down, setting up your foundations here, isometrically drawing your feet towards each other nice and strong, activating your quads, activating your thighs. You can take your right hand to your right knee, your left hand on top of your right hand. Inhale your upper body up, and then inhale both arms up to the sky. On your exhale, coming into a similar twist as we did warming up in the very beginning of the class, taking your right hand back, your left hand forward. A straight line for your arms. And inhale, both arms back up to the sky, looking up towards your fingers. Exhale, hands down to frame the front foot. Lift your back knee off the ground and take your right leg back into plank pose. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips back, downward facing dog. Let's do that on the other side. Inhale, your left foot into the sky, toes pointed toward the ground. Exhale, draw your knee towards your nose and gently place your left foot on the inside of your left hand, always feeling free to help your leg through if that's necessary for you. Lowering the back knee down to the ground, stabilizing here. Left hand on the left knee, joined by the right hand, and inhale your upper body into a straight line. You should feel the stretch here along your hip flexor of your right leg, so that inner line along your, just above your quad. Inhale, both arms up, and as you exhale, just sink a little bit here. Let gravity drink you down. Feel yourself settle into the pose. Inhale, breath, and on your exhale, twisting over to the left side. Your right arm forward, your left arm back. Looking out over your left fingers if that's available to you. A strong balancing pose here. A lot of work in your feet. Inhale, both arms up, and exhale, hands through heart center, framing your front foot. Lifting your back knee off the ground. Taking your left foot to meet the right, plank pose. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale into child's pose. Take a few breaths here. Feeling the effect of your practice so far on your body. Grateful for what your body does for you. Inhaling through tabletop position and exhaling downward facing dog. Let's move into the next sequence. Inhaling your feet to meet your hands, the front of your mat. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Now bending at the knees, coming back into chair position, sending your hips back, weight into your heels. And inhale, the arms up. Tucking your tailbone underneath you, protecting that spine. And stand all the way up. Hands through heart center. Mountain pose. Bending at the knees, sending your hips back. Inhale, chair pose. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands on your shins, weight in the toes, halfway up. Exhale, bend the knees and step back into plank pose. Once again, knees, chest, chin, and cobra always available to you here as you come through your vinyasa. Moving your way back into downward facing dog. Inhale your right foot into the sky. Exhale your right foot to meet your right hand at the front of your mat. Placing your back knee down. Moving a little bit faster this time around. Inhaling your arms up to the sky. Low lunge. Now we're going to move from low lunge into high lunge. So either keeping your arms up toward the sky or placing your hands on your knee. As you inhale, your back knee up off the mat. Arms up to the sky, hands on your knee. Equally appropriate here. Assess what's good for your body today. Now taking your hands to your hips, flatten your back left foot so that it's facing at about a 45-degree angle. Coming into Warrior One here, so squaring the hips towards the front of the room. If you struggle to get your hips squared towards the front of the room, always feel free to bend your back knee just slightly. Inhaling your arms up to the sky. Again, same concept as before. So as we ground down in the feet, we reach up with the hands. Classically looking up towards our fingers in this pose. Exhale, hands through heart center. Hands frame the front foot. Come back into plank position. Exhale through your vinyasa. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward dog. Repeating on the other side. Inhaling your left foot into the sky. Exhaling your left foot forward. Lowering your back knee to the ground. And inhaling your arms up to the sky. Low lunge position. Once again, very strong in your feet. Isometrically drawing them towards each other, so it's almost as if you're pulling them towards each other. Inhaling now up into high lunge or crescent pose, lifting your back knee off the ground. Strong in that back leg, driving that back heel towards the ground. Inhaling both arms up to the sky, if that's available to you. Now taking your hands to your hips, preparing for Warrior One position, flattening your back foot so that your toes are at a 45-degree angle, working for a heel-to-heel alignment in this pose. So your front heel on the same line as your back heel. Once again, if you struggle to get your hips squared to the front of the room in this pose, you can either slightly bend your back knee or you can shift your back foot slightly out. So breaking that heel-to-heel alignment. It's a little bit more gentle on your hips. Arms up toward the sky as you sink a little bit deeper into your hips. Once again, drawing your navel towards your spine, protecting your lower back, and exhaling down, coming into plank pose through your chaturanga, inhaling upward facing dog. And let's exhale back, child's pose. Breathing here into any space in your body that feels like it might need it. Our breath goes where we send it. Our focused attention is extremely strong. Taking your hands forward, inhaling into tabletop position, tucking your toes here and exhaling back into downward facing dog. Walking your feet towards the front of your mat between your hands, exhale forward fold. Inhale halfway up. And returning now to our chair pose, bending at the knees, weight into the heels, sending your hips back, making sure you can see your toes beyond your knees, and inhaling both arms up alongside your ears. And then standing up into mountain pose. Last flow in this sequence. Nice and strong, you're doing great. Bend at the knees, hips back, inhale, chair pose. Exhale, diving forward. Inhaling halfway up, lengthen that back. Exhale, bend the knees, place the hands down, come into plank pose. Through knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, or upward facing dog. and exhale back into downward facing dog. Feel free at any point to come into child's pose, always available to you. Inhale your right foot into the sky. Exhale your right foot forward. Nice and strong in your core. Now coming straight into warrior one. So lowering that back foot, toes at 45 degrees, bending into your front knee, sinking into your hips. Inhale both arms up to the sky. Shoulders out of the ears, rotating our pinky fingers slightly towards each other. Coming now into reverse warrior. So lowering your left hand onto the back of your left leg, very gently, not gripping too much here, and creating a bend in your back, leaning slightly back. Now taking both hands to your hips, extend your front leg nice and straight. Step your back leg in just slightly. Step it in and a little out to the side. Preparing now for pyramid pose, a stretch for our front hamstring, our right hamstring. Hands on the hips, inhale looking up, slightly opening the chest, keeping a very straight lower back. Exhale, bending forward now. Feel free to take your hands to any point along your front leg, so they can stay on your hips, they can come on your thigh or just above your knee, to your shin, or even to your feet if you're feeling flexible today. But we're not putting too much weight into those hands. We're just using them as a guide, just a gentle balance. Making sure our hips are square here, so drawing your right hip slightly back as you draw your left hip slightly forward. And gently folding forward here, keeping a nice straight front right leg. Inhale, bending into your front leg. Place both hands down. Coming into plank position. Now moving into side plank, take your left hand slightly forward in front of you and towards the center of your mat. Rotate your feet so that your toes are pointing to the right side of your mat. You can lower your left knee to the ground and turn that leg into a bit of a kickstand as you raise your right arm up to the sky. That's the first option. Feel free to stay here. If you're looking for something more of a challenge, place your left foot straight and flat on the floor as you bend your right knee and take your right foot and place it just in front of your left leg. The final variation, lots of instructions here, is to place the right foot on top of the left foot, creating a straight line from your heels to the crown of your head. Strong here in your legs. And slowly come back down into plank position. Come through your vinyasa. And exhale back, downward facing dog. Steady, strong, controlled. Inhale your left foot to the sky. Exhale, bringing it through to the front of your mat. Placing the back foot down, 45-degree angle. Nice bend in your front leg. Inhale, both arms up to the sky. Warrior one. Again, working to square your hips to the front of the room, to the front of your mat. Coming into reverse warrior now, so lowering your right hand to the back of your right leg. Straight line with your left arm, bending slightly back, looking up. And exhale, both hands to your hips. Extend your left leg straight Step your right foot in and slightly out, preparing for pyramid pose here. Tucking your tailbone slightly, opening up your chest, and from this position, your core nice and strong, sucking your belly button towards your spine, bending forward. We don't want to round in our upper back here. The goal is to keep our lower back as straight as possible for as long as possible. Hands anywhere on the leg. Position nice and gently. Working to square hips to the front of the room, slightly sucking the left hip back, pushing the right hip forward. Very gentle, very subtle movements, but extremely important here. Inhale, bending into your front leg, taking your left foot back into plank pose, and now preparing for side plank on the other side, taking your right hand slightly forward to the center of your mat, lowering your right knee to the ground as you straighten that left leg. Variation number 1. Second variation, bending your left knee, taking your left foot and stamping it just in front of your right leg. Feel free to stay in any of those positions, or coming into the full expression of the pose. Wobbling is good. Driving your hips towards the left. Coming back into your plank position, lowering your knees to the ground, and coming back into child's pose for a well-deserved rest. Very good work. Working to regulate your breathing here. Breathing in through your nose, breathing out through your nose. And inhale, slowly roll up your spine. Place your hands on your legs, close your eyes, and just observe. What do you feel? Taking your hands to your shoulders, let's work to open up the shoulders once more. Rotating the arms, making circles in one direction and then the other. Very good movement for the body here. And now a slightly unconventional yoga pose, taking your right arm across your chest, using your left arm to hook underneath the right elbow, stretching out your right shoulder. If it's comfortable for you, you can get a little bit of a neck stretch here as well. Lowering your right ear over your right shoulder. Coming back to center. Let's move to the other side, extending the left arm across your chest, hooking with your right arm underneath your tricep, and dropping your left ear over your left shoulder, getting a nice stretch all along the right side of your neck. Scooting onto your left hip now, bringing your feet out in front of you. Let's come into butterfly pose or cobbler pose. Taking the soles of your feet together, your knees out to the side. Whatever's comfortable for you here, I like to grab my feet like I'm opening the pages of a book. And as you inhale here, straightening your lower back and folding forward from that point. Once again, Folding forward with a straight lower back here. Not wanting to round too much. Doing it this way makes this a stretch for your groins. Feel free to use your elbows or your forearms to press into your shins or your inner thighs. Coming out of that pose, inhale your left leg straight in front of you, bend your right leg and take your right foot and put it on the outside of your left leg, somewhere just next to your knee or your thigh. Your right hand at the base of your spine on your right side, inhale your left arm up, and as you exhale, twist towards the right side, hooking the right knee with the left arm. So getting a nice deep twist for the spine here. As we inhale, straightening up, and as we exhale, twisting a little bit deeper. To get deeper into this pose, you can really grip that knee, pull it in towards your chest. You'll find it takes you a lot deeper into the pose. Classically looking out over your right shoulder. Every inhale, lengthening a little bit more. Every exhale, twisting a little deeper into the pose. Inhale, turn your head back to center. Let's move to the other side. So extend your right leg out in front of you. Bend the left knee and take your left foot. Place it on the outside of your right leg. Your left hand at the base of your spine on the left side. With a straight back, inhale your right arm up, and as you exhale, twist, take hold of your left knee with your right arm. And at your own pace, matching the movement to the breath, inhale, straightening the spine up, making sure both sit bones are in contact with the ground, and on your exhale, twist a little deeper, looking over that left shoulder. Inhale back to center. Coming into Janu Shirsasana now. So extending your left foot out in front of you, taking the sole of your right foot to the inside of your left thigh, kind of like tree pose legs, just sitting down, making sure your hips are squared to the front of your mat. Inhale both arms up and folding forward with a flat back. Again, placing your hands here anywhere that's comfortable for your body, on your thigh, just above your knee, on your shin, or taking your foot in your hands. What's most important here is your control of your lower back. So this is a very active pose for your left leg. You're working to activate your quad of your left leg. By strengthening your quad muscle, you tell your brain that your hamstring can release. Our muscles often work in opposites like that. When the one side contracts, the other side can release. So with each inhale, extending a little bit further forward, and with each exhale, folding a little bit deeper into the pose. Switching sides now. Extending your right leg, bringing your left foot into your inner right thigh. Hips squared to the front of the room. Inhale both arms up, and exhale, fold forward. Inhale, coming back up. Now Paschimottanasana, forward fold. Both legs extended out in front of us. You can take the flesh out from under your butt, widening your seat, inhaling your arms up to the sky. Now tucking your tailbone out behind you, fold forward. If you find that you're rounding too much in your upper back, just track your hands higher up your leg. There's no need to try and reach for your toes here. Only come as far as is workable for you in this moment. The only way we progress is by setting the ego aside and doing what's right for us, what's right for our bodies. Bending at the knees now, both feet flat on the floor. Take hold of your knees in each hand. One last flexion and extension for the spine. As you exhale, lean back, rounding the spine, looking towards the belly button. Inhale, arching the spine, opening the chest and looking up. Exhale, leaning back, rounding the spine, straightening your arms, holding onto your knees. Inhale, looking up. On your next exhale, see if you can release your hands from your knees and slowly lower down onto your back. Coming into happy baby pose. So extending your left arm on the inside of your left knee, taking hold of your left foot on the outside of the foot. Doing the same on the right side. The soles of your feet flat and up toward the sky or the ceiling. And then, if it's comfortable for you, gently rocking side to side. Little massage for your lower back. Exhale both feet to the ground. Take your right knee over your left knee. Scoot your hips to the right side of the mat and let your legs fall over to the left side. Inhaling your arms into a T shape alongside your body. Turning your head, looking over your right shoulder. What's more important than getting your knees down to the ground here is that your right shoulder remain in contact with the ground. Far more important for your spine, far safer. So if you find that your right shoulder is coming up off the ground, take something and put it under your knees. A block, a book, a pillow, a blanket that's been rolled up. Inhale, coming back to center. Let's uncross our legs, recross them the other way. Left knee over the right knee. Move your hips over to the left side of the mat and let your legs flop over to the right. Spinal twist on this side. If you haven't already closed your eyes, feel free to do so. Very close to our final resting pose here. Just wringing out the spine one last time. And inhale, come back to the center. And exhaling one leg out at a time. Your feet as wide as your yoga mat. Make any last movements, adjustments here that you need to. Make sure your body knows that you've done a great workout and you're ready for rest. Arms alongside your body, palms up to the ceiling. Make sure your Shoulders are down, away from your ears, not scrunched up, scrunching up your neck. And release here. Take one big deep inhale through your nose and a big deep cleansing exhale out of your mouth. Shavasana. Bringing our awareness back into our body now, focusing on our heels touching the ground, drawing your attention in your mind's eye up through your calves, the backs of your legs, your butt on the ground, and then to your knuckles and the backs of your hands. Working your way up through to your elbows, your triceps, your shoulder points, your upper back, your awareness to the back of your head, heavy against the earth. And now beginning to focus on the sound around us as we bring ourselves back into the present moment, into the world around us. Beginning with the sounds a little further away. Maybe cars in the street. The sounds of neighbors. Birds in the trees. And now zoning your attention a little bit closer in. The sounds of what's happening around you. Finally to the sound of your own breath. Beginning to deepen your breath now. As you slowly bring some life into your fingertips and your toes. At your own pace, making circles with your wrists, your ankles. And taking one final stretch, extending both arms up and back over your head. And when you're ready, bending your knees and coming into a fetal position on your right side. Resting here, thanking yourself for showing up and doing this work. Remembering that this is yoga practice, not yoga perfect. And slowly making your way up, coming to a cross-legged seated position at the front of your mat. Taking your hands in a prayer position to your third eye center. I am healthy. Your hands to your lips. I am happy. Your hands to your heart. I am love. Namaste. Thank you, yogis. If you've enjoyed this class, please like, share the video, subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.